All right, here we are at event number 9, our penultimate event of Sunday Funday Showdown. It is the endurance race, Group 3 at Spain, Showtime Bitch. Just like during the race, where there were a couple conspicuous absences in Death, Kels, Slideways, and some of our other friends, we are missing a few people here tonight, so if my voice annoys you or bothers you in any way, well, you can go ahead and just skip to the liveries in the end of the video because it's not going to get any better. Here's our starting grid. Schaefer on pole, me second, Brody and James once again fucked around in qualifying, and we're at the back of the grid. Beetles don't launch very well, but apparently neither does the Mazda. Once again, I went with the vacuum cleaner engine. Can't get enough of it. This is a pretty exciting start, actually. As you can see, 3 wide for third place there. I thought I was going to get Schaefer down the inside on that first corner, but braked a little too early, and he retained the position, and in fact held on to that position the entire first lap, leading the first lap of the endurance race. Attaway Schaefer. So at this point, I believe everybody qualified on super softs except for me. I qualified on mediums because of the strategy I was running. I was not going to be able to run on super softs. I was doing 11 laps at a time per stint, and that was just enough. My fuel was just enough to get me through that. I would also like to point out at the start, it slipped my mind at the time, but now that I'm thinking back about it, Judson didn't get any wheel spin. Congratulations, Judson. Good work. So here we see Tim and Brody looking to hunt me down and pass me for second place. Schaefer, meanwhile, walking away with first as we duke it out in the back here. Brody looking for a move on Tim and gets it done. Tim, as always, with the flashing kick there, and gets it a little bit wrong through that corner, and James takes advantage of it. Oh, no, he doesn't. I thought he got through there. I lied. That happens later. There, Judson runs more than a little wide, and still, nope. I was going to say he hung onto the back of the pack, but there's the first major incident of the race. Now we have Brody making a run at Schaefer. Saw him lead that first lap, and he wasn't liking it. He wanted to go after him. Meanwhile, we have both Tim and James attacking me here. But first, we're going to see Brody make an attempt to pass Schaefer down to turn 2 or 3. A little bit later on the brakes, and he gets it done there. Similarly, we're going to see James and Tim look for a move there. James, very brave on the brakes. Both of us had to lift a little through that corner. Didn't want to lose too much time, so didn't fight it much. Tim follows him through on the very next corner, though. A little bit of contact, but nothing malicious. Flasher kick. And Tim's through. Tim, a little punt to James. I definitely took advantage of that. Went through. James also wasn't too put off by it. You can run pretty wide in that corner and not lose too much time, apparently. And a little out of shape there, but good save by Tim. Meanwhile, though, James is now caught up to Brody. This is, as we know, James's favorite track, so I'm surprised he wasn't doing better here, actually. And they go side by side there, and he gets the move done. So at this point, earlier in the race, Tim on the super softs definitely had the advantage on me, but at this point, the super softs are beginning to fade, and the mediums are coming into their own against them, which is why I'm not losing as much pace to the other guys as I was earlier. Now you'll see telemetry data come up for the rest of this part of this video because I thought it was interesting to show. James way gone there. And this actually scared the hell out of me. I didn't know where he was coming from or why he was going so slow there. I didn't see him go off. Almost ran wide through that corner, but managed to hold on to it. At this point, Judson through the same corner, makes the same mistake, but does not recover it. And that was Tim passing him for what ended up being, at the end of the race, the 5th position. And Judson hit the wall again after spinning to get back on the track. So anyway, the telemetry data is up, so you can kind of see what's going on during the race. We're near the end of my first stint now, and depending on their strategy, Schaefer went pretty long on the first stint on the super softs. As you can see there, Brody's just coming out, I believe, on his 3rd stint on super softs. I didn't want to fight him and lose a bunch of time, so I just let him through there. He was curious about that. He's like, what the hell's going on here? Did you just let me do that? I'm like, no, I'm good. But Yeah, it was on purpose. See, here's another thing. I think Brody's getting penalties on purpose so he can just ghost. Because I've seen him use that a few times during this race. You'll see later when he does it to James, too. But, also now that I'm watching that, I'm thinking that I don't think I passed a single car on track during this race. I think I got passed by guys that were coming out on fresher tires. Because my strategy was run along because the pit delta was about 22 to 25 seconds before you factored in fuel. You can see me going in for my first stop here as planned after about 11 laps. So my original plan was to run about 150s, and then the last couple laps it fades off to like a 153, 154. I did manage to actually get in the 149s in my second stint for several laps in a row, but it hurt me a lot at the end because there were 3 laps that I was a lot slower on. So on my third stint, I decided to slow it down a bit for the first few laps. So now we see Brody inheriting the lead now after that set of pit stops. But giving it right up right away, and I believe it's Schaefer, yes it is, who takes over the lead once again. He led quite a few laps during this race, actually. I think he was keeping an eye on the pit strategy here, and he I think changed his part of the way through. That or he had planned to try and go as long as he could on super softs early on, but he changed his to mediums about halfway through the race. He changed what he was pitting on. And as a matter of fact, James in his last stop also went to mediums because he knew that they had more than 5 laps to go. Brody tried to make it work on super softs by short fueling, neither of which was going to get him to the end of the race, and that ended up costing him second place, arguably, because he definitely had pace. He ran the fastest lap by about 4 or 5 tenths with a 146 flat. So now you see him passing me on track again here. He was bump drafting me earlier, which concerned me because I thought he was going to punt me at the end of the straight. Could not afford to lose that time. So once again, ran a little bit wide on purpose, just let him through. And here, coming up on lap traffic, that marker on the right there, which is actually the thing they show the lights on for blue flags, turns out it turns blue when you're lapping somebody, and I didn't realize that, so I couldn't see my braking marker there a couple times, and I missed it. As you can see here, this one was not on purpose. When James got through on me, I totally just missed my brake marker because the blue flag thing was out. I didn't realize that's what it was till a couple laps later. I was like, oh, my brake marker didn't disappear; it just changed colors. Great story, I know. Hey, don't like it? Show up next time. So here I'm trying to just basically use James kind of as a brake marker, as a line marker, just try to hang on to him. But it turned out me, James, and Brody all pitted on lap 22 here. And at that point, I thought as long as I don't mess up too bad and they don't have stellar stints, I think I have it won. This is the point where I thought I might have the race won. It was iffy till then. I knew I had a lot of time in my pocket by not pitting as many times as everybody else. And oh gosh, Brody with the unsafe rejoin. Schaefer dodges around him, gets a little out of shape here, a little bit too deep on the brakes. And yep, Brody gets the spot. Now up ahead here though, I don't know if it was Brody doing his normal thing of just waiting up for somebody to create a better race, or if he believed that he was involved in Schaefer running wide there. Spoiler, he was involved in that. But Brody waits up right here. And both James and Schaefer catch up to him, and we have a solid lap and a half battle between the 3 Cheetles on the course. So I'd like to note that my car was the Cheetle killer. It actually didn't handle very well. It accelerated okay, had decent top end. Tim's car had better top end now, as we saw in the straight earlier in the video. But what it really excelled at was it had a huge fucking fuel tank, and that's what allowed me to run 11 laps at a time. I would just short shift about halfway up the rev limiter, and that saved me enough to have about a third of a lap left of fuel every time I pitted. And the mediums were just good enough to last that long. Thought about other cars, tested some other cars. Nothing else had the legs of the Mazda. So here we see James taking over the lead, Brody in second, Schaefer third. End of the Cheeto battle coming up here though, as I believe Schaefer gets a little out of shape through this corner here, loses a bit of time. Brody gets another penalty, which, by the way, they were getting penalties because they were cheating cutting into the pit lane. And we figured that out about halfway into the race because we thought there was just an error that was giving everybody penalties. This is unedited footage, by the way. Totally unaltered, the battle between James and Brody. But they were just, they were cutting over the white line when they were entering the pits. And that's what they were getting penalties for, as we found out when me, Schaefer, Tim, and Judson didn't get penalties. But, you know, anywhere you can find 2 tenths. There's once again Brody ghosting and using it to his advantage. I think we got to ban this man from getting penalties. Now he's inherited the lead from James, or taken the lead. but runs a little wide there. Once again, ghosts and goes through James. Both of them got a little out of shape through that corner, though. Not quite right, but they were toward the end of their super soft stint here. Here's their final pit stop. Brody didn't know if James was pitting or not, so he actually ground to a halt on track and tried to ram into James as they went into the pit lane. Solid gold. This point, I was about 5 seconds behind him when they went into the pits, which means I was somewhere between 25 and 30 seconds ahead of them coming out. I watched that gap slowly shrink down to, I believe it got to about 12 seconds with about 2 or 3 laps to go. And I was worried at that point because it's entirely possible that James, who was in second at the time, had 6 seconds of pace on me in a lap. But turned out his roommate came in, said something to him, distracted him through a corner, and kind of like Judson there, just not as bad, messed up a bit. We were also curious because Judson was in front of me and Schaefer thought I was going to run out of fuel. No faith. Judson was wondering if ghost cars could provide the slipstream to others, and no, turns out they cannot. So that's Brody going in for his final pit stop. Once again, didn't quite plan it right with the fuel, couldn't make it to the end on what he short fueled to get out of the pit in front of James with, so that definitely cost him here. He made up a little ground, but he just did not have enough time to go, as you can see with the laps remaining on the side there. What a beautiful livery. Couldn't award it to myself, though. I had to give it to Brody with his Marc Marquez-esque Repsol Honda. Was the appropriate track. It was a good reference, I thought, and as a MotoGP fan, I gotta respect it. So, if you were waiting with bated breath to find out who the livery of the day was, sorry for spoiling that for you, Brody got it. Now we're seeing the last couple laps. As you can see with the times, I didn't fall off quite as bad at the end. James seemed to have a little bit of trouble because he didn't practice this track much, so he had a little bit of trouble getting used to the mediums. He doesn't like tires that don't give him a lot of grip. Here, though, as I said, Brody made up the gap, and he takes the old-style Spain track here to try to catch James to the last couple corners. Couldn't quite get it done, though, and gets a 3.5-second penalty for his troubles. And, well, this is the first time this season you've seen me win a race, and do it in style. It's good times, but Kels Slideways definitely missed you for that one. As I mentioned earlier, here's Brody with the livery of the day, the Repsol Honda. Love it. Unfortunately, he couldn't win like Marc Marquez would have this today. Marquez would have planned his fuel and tires better, Brody. So, here's our race 1 results. Brody with the fastest lap, though, 146 flat. Would have liked to see another couple cars up there, but we still did actually have a really good time despite the fact that we thought it would be a boring race. Turns out Spain is not as boring in Group 3 cars as it is in F1. And here's our obligatory second race, Mazda's special stage, 2 laps, boost on slipstream, aka the shit show. Here's your starting grid. It was supposed to be reverse grid from the first race, not that really matters with all that stuff on, but James disconnected and reconnected. We had a little bit of technical difficulties starting the second race, took about half an hour. Meanwhile, I was losing an eBay war. Anyway, here's the start. Judson once again not getting wheel spin. And everybody else warming their tires. Judson looking like Kimi, just driving a straight line there. And within 1 kilometer, you'll see the mark on the ground. Brody's already taken people out of this race. Luckily, this is the race no one really gives a shit if it happens. And if it's going to happen, might as well be in the first lap where you still have a chance to recover. And just, yeah, spins about 8 times and takes about half a lap to catch back up. Here we see a little bit more fuckery. Brody with the tap to James, tap to Schaefer. Where's that Tim? Yes, tap to Tim. Tim's gone. James is gone. What a disaster. Tim and Judson are now back in it, though. They work together and begrudgingly work with Brody as well with the hazard lights of doom there. And Judson getting his almost immediate revenge, but also retroactively taking himself out as well. And Tim, again, they did all that work to get back in the race, and all of it went to waste. Then this was kind of a cool spin by Tim. I thought he was going to save it, couldn't quite. Not sure what initiated that one. Here we see Schaefer and James with a little synchronized swimming here. Brody looking to stay out of that. They asked me at the time, Elliot, are you recording this? Because this is awesome. And once again, small incident, put James in the wall, not a huge deal. And a little out of shape, but both recovered. And I decided I was going to take Brody out for Judson, but I took myself out instead. Good work, me. And I tried to help Brody after he spun again, but he was going too slow. Should have known better. He tried to leave without me, so I tried to take him out, but he saw it coming, dodged it. We're way in the back there, as you can see, but they're letting us back into the race as James gets a little out of shape there, runs into the wall. This is still lap 1, by the way, in case you were wondering. Once again, Brody and James in the wall, all meeting together, and I come out the worst for it, as does James. Looking like bumping the leader there from Brody, which Tim tries to take him out for it, but doesn't quite work. With the blinker there, indicating that he's coming back to the left. Good work, Tim. You could see James break there in an attempt to get Brody behind him so he could knock him out, pit maneuver him. Well done. We also just tried to take each other out there. Little 4-car wreck here, resulting in James dying right before the last corner. That was his race. He thought it was over, thought he was going to finish 6th. Little did he know, had a surprise for him. Brody was looking in his rear view, saw me flashing the lights, knew something bad was about to happen, so he tried to get in front of it, tried to preemptively strike, and just did not work out for him on this occasion because puts himself into the pit wall. That allowed James the position. And what a shit show of an ending, because Judson with his first win here. We had 2 first-time winners tonight. Tim with, I believe, his 2nd or 3rd podium, 2nd place. I managed to pull off 3rd by 3/1000ths of a second over Schaefer, who, by the way, got livery of the day for the purple wheels. There is your event number 2 results. Schaefer with the livery. There is an interesting finishing order that you're not going to see too often. So there's your event number 9 overall results. I think that's the first event I've won as well. Judson with the number 2. James 3rd, Tim 4th. James got 3rd because he finished better in the endurance race. Season standings, you're going to have some good battles coming up here in our final weekend. James and Brody still mathematically in it. Schaefer and me still in it. Death and Judson still in it. Telt's able to catch Judson if he has a good enough weekend. Our races are F1 at Autopolis, N1000 at Spa, and TBD.